Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's reading vlog is going to be me attempting to read books that you think I will hate. Disclaimer, I didn't go to my way to buy books that I thought I was going to hate. I usually don't do that. These are just books that I've accumulated throughout the years on Booktube that you have since seen on my shelves, and looking back at my usual taste, you told me that you didn't think I was going to enjoy them, often for like pointless essay scenes or just sexism in general. So I've accumulated a couple books that I've put on what I've been calling my questionable shelf, and yeah, the kittens are in full librarian mode. I have a clip of them even before I started filming. They've been having a little too much fun in the background. They started doing that last week and it's been great. So you're gonna see them do their thing in the background. We're just gonna, I'm gonna ignore it. You can feel free to laugh at them. So yes, I decided to do this video because this year one of my big challenges is to try to get my shelves to a point where I'm happy with everything. I've probably read about a third, I think we calculated last year, about a third of the books that are on my shelf, because I tend to get rid of books that I have read and didn't care for, and then I buy a lot of these used, so I've accumulated a lot. I've missed the days where library book sales were like 4 books for $1. So I've accumulated books because of that, and yeah, we need to clean them up. It's gonna be a challenge. I decided to do this video because I read actually Norwegian Wood by Murakami last year. It made it to my worst books of last year, and it was a mess, and I said that I was never going to read anything else by him. But I already own this book, which I feel like everyone knows, 1QD4, the spine everywhere in pictures, and I hate getting rid of books that I haven't at least tried, and I have it, so I might as well give it a shot before I get rid of it. I don't know a ton about it, but I know that the author cannot write a female character that well liked. But we're not going to start with this one because it's the chunkiest of them all. So we're going to go and look at my questionable shelf while these babies are busy redecorating my mystery thrillers and my everything else, romance, historical fiction, literary fiction. So let's look at the shelf. I'm going to have to clean that up this week. There are so many books on the floor. You can't even see, but like the classics too. That has been organized too. So this is the second half of my books. We were sitting here, look at the mess, look at the mess. So these are my fantasy, and most of the books that I have heard were questionable are fantasy. This has also been redecorated. So this is the questionable shelf in question. These I have read, but the rest I haven't, and most of them I've heard, I think it's like essay scenes. This one actually isn't really in there. This one is the humor that wasn't going to work for me. Apparently similar to Kings of the Wild, which unfortunately didn't work for me. I believe this is also SAC, same author. I think this one is like just questionable main character. So I'm gonna pick some on here. I probably have more on my shelf, but these are definitely the ones I've been warned about the most. And you know what? I think we're gonna start with this one. This is what we're gonna start with because I have 4 of these books. So I'm pretty sure that was probably a library purchase, hence like 4 for $1. I've had this for a long time on my shelf. I used to buy a lot of books just if I recognized the author or the book because of Booktube. I just started, I had just started. So this was on a lot of lists of like must-read adult fantasy books. And now I know that some of them don't really work for me. And like I said, this one is an adult, I think it's urban fantasy, and the main character, I think he's like I don't want to say a policeman, but like I know he's like investigating magical things, I believe. And I've heard that the main character is insufferable. And I don't know if it's like the author's purposely writing him that way, or if it's like an author insert, like you know how it is. Like especially back in the day, a lot of male authors did that with like investigations. Like I'm thinking The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, for example. In the first book it worked, but then afterwards it was a mess. And it 100% read like a author insert. I mean, he did sleep with literally every female character. So I don't know where this one will lean towards, but I have heard I wasn't going to like this. I actually almost read that 2 weeks ago when I was doing my read it or unhaul it. Evil baby. I almost read it because the cats almost picked it up for the read it or unhaul it, and a lot of you even in the comment section of the video told me I was going to hate this. So you know what? It's shorter than the other one. It's 300 something pages, so I'm gonna read it until it pisses me off. That's gonna be the theme of this video. I am still hoping I will enjoy the books that I will be picking because I don't particularly like reading books just to hate them. Sometimes, like Ice Planet That was a trip. But I doubt this is going to be funny in that way if I hate it. So we're going to try this one. Later on, we'll try the other ones. But this one, I think I will make a pretty quick decision because of what I've heard. But again, I'm hoping I'm going to be wrong, or you are going to be wrong, and I'm going to enjoy myself. So I will see you probably later today with this one. I have a feeling. Okay, update. I've read the first chapter. Nothing offensive has happened yet. I do have a needy baby on me, as always. Chunky. Yeah, nothing offensive, so I will be continuing. Although he has made allusion to cheerleaders twice in about 10 pages, so there's that. I take it back just further. Like, first page of chapter 2 is describing this homicide detective as having, like, though I suspected she'd have muscular, well-shaped legs like a gymnast. She was built for function, blah, blah, blah. Like, why are you saying that? Why? To be fair, that's the kind of descriptions that once it's fine, but if it happens constantly, then I will understand why people say that I will hate this. We're on a roll. Page 2 of chapter 2. Maybe my values are outdated, but I come from an old school of thought. I think that men ought to treat women like something other than just shorter, weaker men with breasts. How generous and chivalresque and gentlemanly of you. Try and convict me if I'm a bad person for thinking so. What is that called? Benevolent sexism? That's kind of the vibes I'm getting right now. He thinks he's such a good person. It's like, how generous of you to think that. Page 11, and I'm already getting the vibes. Okay, so I waited until I finished chapter 3 to do this update. I did put post-its every time something annoyed me. I already know some people are going to be like, oh, you're reading too much into it, but that's kind of the point, right? I am not annoyed enough yet to stop. Yet. But it is pretty relentless. So I had stopped when he was saying how old school of him to treat women with basic respect. So he's investigating a case with the police. He's basically consulting, and he's a wizard. I didn't mention that. So I guess that's the plot. So investigating the murder of a high-end escort and a man called Tommy Tom. I wish I were kidding. And their heart basically exploded, so probably magic. And as he arrives to take a look at the demand of the female investigator with the muscular thighs, he makes the description, the dead body, okay? Like a dancer, the curves of her breasts making a lovely outline. That's her dead body he's describing. And it's making me think, I don't know if you've heard of the fact that nowadays a lot of morticians don't want to hire men anymore, or they force them to work in teams because of what would happen to the dead bodies. And this just reminded me that, wow, we're not safe even in death from objectification. Anyway, and then the next page, we get this really fun stuff. I was going to start crying like a little girl. And this was published in 2000. It's not that old. I know people used to say that more, but what annoys me about these kind of descriptions is that as a child, I wouldn't have noticed these things. Even, you know, a couple years ago, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. And it's just how deeply ingrained sexism is. And it's annoying because he could have easily said that he was about to cry like a child, because men are definitely emotional too. Anyway, and then it continues and he says, again describing the dead body, the woman was in her 20s in fabulous condition. At least I thought she had been. Like, come on, it's her dead body. Anyway, later on, we have, as the police are asking him what they think happened, he says that he thinks it's a she that did it, which, you know, fair enough, crime of passion, that could make sense. However, he says because you can't do something that bad without a whole lot of hate. Women are better at hating than men. In what world, Jim? In what world? Because you look at murders happening out of hate. I don't think women are the main perpetrators, but whatever. This feels like feminine vengeance. Like, I could agree that it could, like, okay, it seems to have been done by a woman, but, like, the rest just seems weird to me. And of course, the female character finally calls him out and tells him that, oh, you're being a chauvinist pig, which This is the kind of comment that are placed at the wrong part that always is a telltale sign for me that the book was written by a man. I had that vibe too in Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, I've mentioned it a lot, but out of this channel, a lot of people don't know that this is a pen name from a male author. And in that book, at one point, he makes the female character being like a strong female character, telling the man that she can't do it. And it was just, it screamed written by men. And that's, again, the vibe I got from that line. The detective, the female detective, again, screams written by men. At one point, she smiles, and he's like, a curving of her lips that was vibrantly feminine, a vibrantly feminine expression, making her look entirely too pretty to be such a hard ass. Because you can't be a tough detective if you're that pretty. Okay. And she's asking him for any information, and he's like, a classic lady in distress. For one of those liberated professional women, she knew exactly how to jerk my old-fashioned chains around. Anyway, so I completely understand why people can't stand the character or the narration or the author. I don't know if the author's always like this. Again, I'm basing this out of 30 pages. I'm obviously annoyed, but not enough to stop reading. I just wanted to update you after a whole chapter instead of every 2 seconds. But I'm going to continue until I'm actually really annoyed. But it's looking like it's going to be an Unhaul. No one is shocked here. Okay, updating you. I made it to page 100, which was kind of the goal I gave myself before I made my decision. So chapter 9. And I put less post-its with the rest. It's 7 of the chapters than chapter 2. Generally speaking, it's not as annoying when there are no female characters, which, with that said, we were introduced to a 4th one, if we count the dead one, and of course she's also very attractive and trying to seduce him for info, of course. And she invites him on a date. It just, anyway, no comment. Of course, he over describes everyone, right? Makes sense. Investigator, blah, blah, sure. But there's the 3rd female character that was introduced too. And what's weird is the way he's describing her outfit and how, like, she's wearing, like, a very pale yellow skirt with brown riding boots, a white blouse, and an expensive-looking green cardigan, which, okay. But then he's like, she had to be in good shape to pull off a color combo like that, and she did it. That is not that weird of a combo of color. And like, her body shape is the reason she can pull it off. Anyway, no comments. A tiny thing, of course, on its own, but the accumulation is weird. Anyway, the 4th woman that asked him out, she's of course incredibly attractive, like I was saying, and she's like trying to seduce him for info, and that's what she does. She's a journalist of like a weird magazine, whatever. But what I hate is the common trope of like, she had no idea. She had no concept of just how attractive she really was. Which bish please. Like, if that's what she's doing for a living, she knows. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's just so weird that like, that's the one thing that really is appealing to him. Like, that's what she mentioned. That's what he mentions. One of the things that appealed to me about her was that even though she used her charm and femininity relentlessly in pursuit of her stories, she had no concept of just how attractive she really was. And of course, he notices. It annoys me. A pure heart and mind only takes you so far. Sooner or later, the hormones have their say too. Okay, creep. And yeah, we have a blissful couple chapters without anything. And then he goes back home to make a potion with the skeleton head that he has that has a great memory, because he can't use technology because the magic in him breaks it up, whatever. And the spirit in it is apparently a perv too, because of course, any opportunity to be. Apparently he escaped at one point, and it was his last time because it involved a sorority house. So yeah, just, you know, little reminders constantly of why. Like, you can't tell me you can't make this interesting without all of this. I don't doubt that the author doesn't realize how bad it is. Like, I'm not saying there aren't any characters that can be pervs, whatever, but like, it's a lot. I only made it, like I said, 100 pages, and like, look at the amount of post-its. And the story's not good enough to compensate, which is an important thing for me. I feel like sometimes I will look past some of that stuff. Everything else needs to be good enough, and it's not. So I'm just, to no one's surprise, going to be done. And all 4 books will be left in the Unhaul shelf. And yeah, it's fine. It's fine. No hard feelings here. It is what I expected to do. So now that that's done, I think tonight I'm going to start this one. I am absolutely terrified of it. I just realized that the front is a woman, but the back is a man. I had never noticed. Because I turned around and I just saw an eye staring at me. Anyway, I'm going to start this one. Like I said, this one is big. There's like 1,200 pages. So I'm obviously very intimidated. But once again, I will go into it with my precious little post-its. And I will update you. Hopefully, it doesn't annoy me too quickly. But I think this one probably, my guess is like 200 pages into it, I'll be done. But I might not. I did finish Norwegian Wood, even though it was 250 pages. And it was hard to finish. I was very tempted. Wish me luck. Okay, I realized I hadn't updated after 1 chapter, so I'm doing it now. I read only the first chapter, and yeah, there are 3 post-its. But it's not that bad yet. Just the female character is described so as always. I think it just rings off, you know. There's just something off. Like the female character, I didn't know what the story was about, by the way. I still kind of don't know. 1 chapter, 16 pages, but she has to climb somewhere and she's wearing a skirt and she's next to the highway and like the skirt is like riding up and she just like decides that she doesn't care, which, you know, good for her. But the description is just too weird. She's like, who gives a damn? Let them all look all they want. Seeing what's under my skirt doesn't let them really see me as a person. Which, fair enough. But then, of course, it has to be weird. So it's like, besides, her legs were the part of her body of which she was the most proud. Okay, sure, okay. Apparently, she just doesn't smile, doesn't make any faces, because otherwise, when she frowns, there's like this whole description of how different and weird she looks, and it's like the shocking transformation terrified anyone who saw it. Are we talking about this girl? Like, come on, it cannot be that bad. And then, yeah, of course, her physical description, that she's like 5'6" tall. She carried not an ounce of excess fat. Every muscle in her body was well toned, but her coat kept that fact hidden. So, you know, we still needed to know that. It's just like little things that accumulates throughout the whole novel. So I'm so excited to keep seeing that. But the premise sounds intriguing enough so far that I want to keep going. So, like, I'm continuing happily. But I'm preparing myself for the weirdness of Murakami. Look at this handsome boy. Look at him. Look at him. Oops, there's another one coming. Hi, baby. Hi, babies. How am I supposed to focus? Oh, no, I can hear the third one. Look at them. So handsome. So handsome. Oh, the hair biscuits. The hair biscuits. So cute. Look at that belly. Look at that belly. So pretty. I know. Oh, the other one here wants some attention. Hello. Hello. Oh, jealous. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is what my life looks like. And then you have a third one. Hi, baby. Clawdia, are you coming to destroy my life? Yeah. Oh. I'm supposed to get up and do things? I think not. Guess I'm taking a nap. And I thought I wasn't going to update you until, you know, a couple more days, once I've made some proper progress and once I'm mad enough to end it and pick something else. And the first page, the first sentence of the chapter, second chapter, that I have to tell you right away. I cannot wait. So are you ready? You're not ready. I mean, it's Murakami. You're never ready. So Tango's first memory dated from the time he was 1.5. His mother had taken off her blouse and dropped the shoulder straps of her white slip to let a man who was not his father suck on her. Honestly, real talk, this would be enough for me to put it down. I am so done with it. But for the sake of this challenge, I'm gonna keep going a little bit. I did say I was aiming for at least, 100, 200 pages, but I have no more patience for Murakami. So, chapter 2. We were doing okay. Chapter 1, but chapter 2, 2 sentences and I'm done. I've had time to calm down, but last night I put down the book. I'm so done with it. I have a feeling that as soon as I start talking about it, I'm gonna get mad all over again. I did not, needless to say, make it to page 200, not even 100. I officially gave up the book at page 38. I tried. I really tried. Chapter 2 only got worse. You know what? Let's start there. So basically, as you know, it started about this young man, 29-year-old man, constantly being assaulted by fits of remembering at 1.5 years old, a strange man, sucking on his mom's. I'm gonna have to censor so much of this section of the review because YouTube hates Murakami. But yes, this grown man, his whole life has been having these fits where he's just dissociating and people are like, what's going on? And he's thinking about that for... So yes, that's happening to him, these vivid images of his mom. And to really hammer in the fact that he has mommy issues, Murakami includes a portion that mentions that he is having an affair with a woman that is 10 years older than him and she's married, so he doesn't have to be emotionally available. So that's cool, made that very clear for us. And then he's having a conversation. The plot doesn't even fucking matter, but he's talking to this old man who is obviously using his power as a literary critique to make the other dude, the main male character, edit this young girl's novel to try and win a prize. And she's 17 because, of course, they're obsessed. And this is the creep, which I'm assuming he's meant to be a creep, but who knows with Murakami. Beautiful girl, don't you think? Sweet and fresh. 17. Perfect. But to be fair, that's that portion, it is to be expected, whatever. But the reason I'm putting down the book is because chapter 3 gave me exactly what I thought I was going to get, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So you go back to the main female character from before. She is done climbing d'échelle, whatever it is in English, and now she's going down on the other side. And as she's going down, she's also having these flashbacks because clearly a lot is happening here. And of course, this 30-year-old woman is having flashbacks of herself when she was, you guessed it, 17. And she had, and this is the exact quote, a lesbian encounter. So second book by Murakami, the second time that there is a underage lesbian encounter. So why the fuck are you so obsessed with lesbians? Leave them alone. Actually, that's not true because she's mentioning that she's straight. So like, still, leave them alone. Why? You're gross. And I was going to, look past it because it is something that I was expecting. However, this is where it starts, and then you read this whole other page of this shit, and then I got here, I started reading the third page of it, and I was like, why the fuck am I doing this? Clearly, I'm not enjoying myself, no matter how good the plot is, which who knows, because again, page 38, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Why the fuck do we keep raving and like making famous these people? You cannot convince me that the plot is good enough. No. I can't do this. I can't do this. I knew. I should have listened to myself, but I thought it would be funny, and like I hate getting rid of books I haven't tried. So I tried it, and I am saying never again. Never again. No. From now on, if I hear anyone rave about him, to be fair, I do think that the writing style is much better, and this is a translation, and I do find that usually Japanese translation are dry. The writing is still much, much better than Stormfront, which not super shocking, but that is the nicest thing I can say. No. No. I no. No. So I'm going to choose a third book, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to choose one more, and no matter what happens, it's the last one. If you're enjoying this, maybe once I have time to calm down a little bit. I mean, this was the point, reading until I'm pissed. Clearly I'm pissed. Maybe I'll do that again later on, but for this week, one more, no matter what happens. I mean, the books on there are all like 400 plus pages. So like, I could be reading a whole book, but you did warn me about all of them, so we'll see. So we're back. I don't even know where to go at this point. I'm already so tired of these books. I think we might go with like humor. That might not work for me. I feel like that might be slightly less offensive. And I have a cat behind me. What are you doing? Why are you in a chair? The Black Tongue Thief, it's yellow. So right there, I'm sold. You can see it's about 400 pages. I'm excited. I believe this is an adult fantasy, although I have been told that this reads a bit YA, and like I was mentioning, the humor. I have yet to clean up because I knew they were going to continue. It's been so hot. I'm like sweating. It's early in the morning and I'm already sweating. So I'm going to give this one a shot. I'm going to read it until I'm pissed, or I'm going to read the whole thing and want to continue the series. Full disclosure, I'm fully aware right now that I'm already so annoyed that it's probably not going to take that much to piss me off. I'm aware of it, but again, it's the point of this book. I cannot believe it. Honestly, like, are you serious? 2 books, 2 lesbian encounter. Are you page 38 and there's already all this shit happening? I didn't even get to the part. I was warned that the main female character is like obsessed with having sex with older bald men, which I was like, okay, that tracks. But the lesbian encounter again, multiple pages. No. So I'll see you maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week. I don't know. I have a feeling it's gonna be quick. Hi, last update. I'm having the worst day ever. This morning, I went to throw away the compost. You already know where this is going. And I grabbed the bag, which, you know, the really thin biodegradable bags. And of course it ripped and it splashed everywhere in the container, on the counter, on the floor, on the cupboards, on me. I literally wanted to die. Cleaned up everything like 10 times, showered, and I swear I can still smell it. It's disgusting. I have been swearing a lot in this vlog, but here we are. I read the book, and look at me, matching. Well, the cover, where's the cover? Look at me. That is the cutest thing you're gonna see in this vlog, because this, I'm so sick of this shit, okay? Real talk. Again, it is the point of this whole thing to get rid of books that won't work for me. And that's fine, and I get that everyone has different tastes, blah, blah, blah. But what annoys me is that a lot of the content in these books are things that I would not have noticed as a teenager or young woman. Because we're so brainwashed into the whole sexism, patriarchy thing is totally normal. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's absolutely no need for all this shit to happen. There's absolutely no need for us to look past it. Because the story, the writing, no, stop giving them money. Stop making them popular. It's disturbing. Like, they are choosing to write that. Nobody's forcing Murakami to write about 17-year-old girls all the time. No one. And in this case, you guys were right. I started it. I read the first chapter and was like, I don't see what the problem is, but I mean, it's one chapter. Chapter 1 was like 20 pages, whatever. But I gave up at chapter 3. So I made it till page 35, which, wow. And it kept getting worse and worse. Like, you know how you'll look past a couple things because whatever. But eventually it's just too much. And this is where it happened for me. I think most of it happened in chapter 3. What was the first one? Oh yeah, the physical descriptions about, actually, I don't even think I can say that on YouTube. YouTube has been flagging my videos, like either flagging them or sometimes YouTube, what they do is that they don't tell you anything, but your ads are worth like a quarter of what they should be worth, which like, I'm starting to think maybe that's why nobody talks about these things because every time I'm like, oh, okay. But yes, it's talking about pubic hair. So cool, fun description. Chapter 3, oh, I didn't want to mention the humor because that is obviously part of the whole thing. It does read juvenile. It's going to work for some people and that's totally fine. It kind of reminded me of Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. That's the other book that I got rid of it, but I have the second book, or I should say third and fourth combined edition on my shelf. And the humor feels very like, I'm such a like edgelord, I'm so funny. And it will work for some people. And like, it sounds stretchy, but we're gonna have to let that slide. At this point, I'm just annoyed. So, so yeah, there's definitely a whole like, oh, I'm so cool that I can get away with being. In French, we call that being like être un fendant, like un petit fendant, which that's definitely Quebec French, but whatever. The reason I put it down, because again, there was a bunch of little things happening, but the reason I put it down, he's still negotiating and being oh so cool about it. Like every time you argue with me, I increase the price. And he's like, you'll pay 15, like I said, but if you're quick and smart, I'll take 14 because I'm sentimental and you remind me of the smelly old woman who took my virginity. Which, like, it's not funny. It's not, what's funny about an old woman? Of course she has to be smelly. Like, it's just so, like, juvenile. But the last one, I can't see the post-it, but I will find it because it needs to happen. Give me a second. The post-it fell, but I need to talk about it. Okay, it took me way too long to find it. Frankly, it just refreshed my mind as to how much I didn't care of the whole tone of the book. But there's a bunch of different names for money, like the kind of money that exists. And there's also one that is called a gold, WHORE. And like, this is the moment that for me, I did continue. That was literally first page of chapter 3. This is the moment that it makes me take a step back and just realize someone wrote this, okay? And this is why I get secondhand embarrassment, by the way, when I read like badly written sex scenes. It's just, it takes me out of a story and I start thinking about the author. A grown-ass man decided to call a kind of money. And like, it's a choice, you know? And I feel like a lot of people cut authors too much slack sometimes with that stuff because it's like, oh, it's fiction. Yes. He chose to write that. He chose that I continue a little bit trying to find the spot. And like a bunch of the characters are prostitutes, which is fine, I guess, but like it's a choice that you're making. So like I am allowed to judge you on it. And like it makes me think that, okay, this is the man that decided that some of the currency would be called gold. I don't think it's funny. I don't think you know, it's a choice. We're going to limit at that because I could rant about that for a while. I did say that this was going to be my last book no matter what. I'm done. I'm so done. Charlie is here. You can see Chunky in the back too. Ugh, thank you. You can sense that I'm upset. Not at all. He just likes to lick everything he can find. You cannot trust him because he'll be like staring at you from way too close and just lick you. Or your hair, or your clothes, or like anything you can find. He's a little creepy. I'm gonna start getting comments to Justice for Charlie all over again. He's a sweetie. He's the one that, you know, not one thought behind those eyes. Look at him. There's no malice here. Like Clawdia, yeah, she will burn down the house if she wants to and be cute doing it. But him, he can't do anything bad ever. He's just staring at nothing. He's such a sweet baby. Anyway, I'm obviously done with this vlog. I just can't do it anymore. Are any of these books that offensive? The Murakami one, yes. Okay, I'm taking actual offense on that one. The other two, I feel like it's like to be expected. I don't think this one was old. When was this one published? 2021. This shit. Yeah, no, I'm not okay with it. Clearly, I'm not a target audience. You can enjoy it if you want to. I want these books off of my shelves. So, successful, I guess. Was it enjoyable? Absolutely not. But the good news is that because I am giving up on this earlier than planned, it means I will have more time for the next vlog, which is really good because I'm continuing the series I was reading last week. So I'm going to be reading book 3 of 2 series that I've been giving 5-star to the books. So, much better use of my time. So I will see you then. Hopefully I will have time to calm down before I do more challenges. Look how long he is. You used to fit in my hand. Like your head fits in my hand now.